The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
Welcome into the Wicked Weed Studios. WickedWeedBrewing.com. Drink different. That's going to have to go down.
Yeah,
we're going to echo like that.
Sorry, guys.
It's just the three of us. Tank's in Atlanta. Caleb may also be in Atlanta. It's just the three of us doing shit. Welcome into the Sportsocracy, live from the Wicked Weed Studios. As always, visit our friends Wicked Weed at WickedWeedBrewing.com. Drink different. Hey, Brian's back.
Yeah, guys.
Brian.
That was just three of us. Something off camera happens. One of us has to do it.
Yep. Not only do we not have the professionalism of Tank today, we've got Jeremy and the two guys that like pushing his buttons more than a couple of kids in a Trump Tower elevator, just like hitting buttons like, oh, let's see where this one goes, guys.
And it's hot in here anyway, and I'm a little pissed off anyway. So this could get fun.
It's going to be a good morning.
You know who didn't have a good night last night? Joel Embiid.
No, he did not.
It didn't go well. Philadelphia loses to Atlanta. I actually picked Atlanta to win this game, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm not so sure how I feel about this series anymore.
Really? I mean, as long as Joel Embiid gets healthy.
But he never is.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Nobody's healthy.
No.
At this point, the team that wins the NBA title is going to be the one that has players left in a month.
I know. That's so sad.
Tough to win when you shoot 4 for 20.
Yeah, he was 0 for 12
in the second half. Yeah, it was really, really, really bad.
And they were in control for a lot of the game. It looked like, they were going to run away with it, but they kept sticking around. I thought the refs, really were writing off Trae Young after he did his little goggles thing, made the refs upset. There was a couple of calls that I think he probably would have gotten normally that he didn't, but it came around at the end. He got a call that was a little bit questionable on the foul from Embiid. I think it happened after the play, but they still gave him some free throws. So, I mean, it's tough for the 76ers. You could have went up 3-1 going back to Philly.
Yeah.
That's a tough pill to swallow that you let that game go.
And it's obvious that they are noticing it because the NBA came out and basically said we're going to look into these, leaning in and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm so tired of watching Trae Young, James Harden, these guys do it. They just basically initiate contact and just throw up a shot. And it's not basketball. It's just a tool to get to the line and get people fouled. And it's just, everybody can see what's happening. You know what I mean? It's not like they're doing it in the shot of emotion and getting fouled. They're initiating the contact. Everybody sees that's what they're doing. They're still getting the foul called. And I just hope they just turn around and start calling offensive fouls on them.
Well,
That'd be awesome.
It's on the league and the refs. The players are always going to find the little shortcuts, find the little holes in the officiating to get extra points. I mean, you get paid off how many points you get. You get paid off going to the line and getting cheapies. You win games based on, free throws a lot of the times. That's what it comes down to is the free throw disparity. So, the players are always going to do things like that. It's on the league to step in and say, this isn't part of the game. This doesn't help basketball. This doesn't help the product. We've got to step in and do something here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a carnal problem that the league has, is that you have a lot of stars that are just not really stars. And let's be really honest. Tank and I talked about this on the ESPN Radio show yesterday. How many legitimate stars are left in the playoffs?
Chris Paul.
There's 3 on the Nets.
Well, there's only one.
There's only one right now because 2 of them are sitting on the sideline because they hurt.
And Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi.
But Donovan Mitchell, is he really a star?
I think he's becoming
a star
one.
in Utah.
In Utah?
Yeah.
I think if he wins a championship this year, then he's a superstar.
Is he though? In Utah?
I would think so.
You think you can put him on the marquee and that really sells outside of Utah?
I think what you're getting at is there's a difference between all-star and really good player and marketable star in the league.
That's what I'm talking about. How many marketable stars?
Stud, but marketable star.
The most marketable star left in these playoffs is Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard's too, and I don't know what he sounds like when he talks.
Yeah.
I host a sports talk show, and I don't know what his voice sounds like.
Right.
He's a fun guy.
I do, but not. Yeah. It's not like LeBron. It's not these marketable faces. Yeah. And that's exactly why the NBA is doing this. Because they're looking at the lay fan, the common fan, not us that are going to watch it anyway because we have to have something to talk about.
Right.
Speaking of which, it's a Threadbare Tuesday, so if you have a topic you would like us to discuss, throw it in the topics or throw it in the comments, and we will get to it as quickly as we can. The NBA knows they have a problem. Let's be really honest here. If you want a fun game, Google NBA ratings and just look at all of the news stories that appear in the feed.
It's bad.
Because the narrative, it changes so much depending on who's saying it. Oh, the ratings are up 38% from last year. Yeah, last year was like a Stanley Cup rating. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that I would be clinging to that. It's exactly where it was 2 years ago when you were when everybody was jumping off buildings saying the NBA was unwatchable. And that's why I think you're seeing these things. Yeah. You're trying to get the common fan back that doesn't like watching James Harden or Trae Young lay into somebody and get a foul call.
Yeah.
And it's on the NBA. They've got to, that's their job, is to be stewards of the game, not to be worrying about all the fines and all the shit that they accrue from players. Focus on making the game better, getting people back to enjoying basketball. Mm-hmm. They can still be modern. They can still do a lot of the things they're trying to do to grow the game. But they can also focus more on the actual game, on the rules, like on why these games are so wide open, why there isn't defense played. They can look at, shortening the season 10 games or whatever it is because everyone loves NFL because there's so few games and because the game is what it is. There's not a lot you can do other than pass interference calls that's really going to change how the game goes. And right now it is because you're having so many players 20, 30 times a game looking for cheap little hits when somebody's trying to contest a shot. Yeah. And last night I saw it a few times. Like there would be an open three that either Trae Young or Joel Embiid or someone had. They could have taken the shot, but instead of having confidence in taking a shot within the flow of the game, they're pump faking and then leaning into somebody that's not even close to them and throwing up a shot hoping to get the foul. And it just takes away from the whole flow of the offense, and it's on the league to cut it out. Yeah,
and then I see in that game last night, I see a $180 million man sitting on the bench with 6 seconds left to go because he can't do anything.
Yeah.
Ben
Simmons.
You're paying a guy $180 million and it's 6 seconds left in the game, you're down 3 and he has to sit because he can't shoot.
Every offseason we hear he's working on that jump shot.
It just seems so crazy to me.
I'll be honest with you, if people worked on their marriages as much as Ben Simmons has worked on his jump shot, there'd be way less divorces in this country.
Yeah, and Shaq worked on his free throws every offseason too.
Just a couple of things that were said in the comments. Alex Sanders said marketability, it's Chris Paul and KD. Yeah. KD is as likable as a hemorrhoid.
Yeah.
He is quite possibly the most unlikable human being in all of sports.
Yeah, he's a piece
of the point.
But he's also one of the top players in the game and a freak.
Adam Black said, is it the product or is it the political stances? It's a combination of both. It's 100% a combination of both because there are some people that just don't want to hear. And I'll be honest with you, when you watch the games, they've stopped.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. There is a certain sect of fan bases that once you piss them off doing political things, they don't come back.
Yeah.
And so that fan base is gone. I'm not going to say permanently, but very indefinitely. Now, the product's hard to watch at times. I'm a guy that played a lot of basketball and has coached a lot of basketball. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's hard to watch at times.
It is.
All right, so think about last night. So you have the Hawks, you have the Sixers. Arguably the best player for the Sixers is unplayable in crunch time. Yeah. You can't shoot. Name me the two for Atlanta.
Yeah,
is it Clint Capella?
It depends.
Who also can't shoot?
It's kind of like they got Trae Young, and then it's a series of three-point shooters, or they get the ball somehow to Capella by driving. Trae Young drives and throws up an oop. That's how Capella scores. Other than that, it's a lot of Kevin Huerter and
I don't know
Bogdanovich
what Capella was doing yesterday.
And when he's playing Hunter, and just it's a lot of role players playing together, I guess, and that's kind of the ball that we've been wanting to see is a lot of these players, team ball, and we're seeing that. We're seeing the team ball in Utah. We're seeing the team ball in Phoenix. We're seeing team ball in Atlanta. But when you are devoid of superstars,
that's what you have to do.
It's kind of what we're saying. Now let's just think about this. Let's say we have a semifinals that's going to have. Could have Atlanta,
Sorry.
I know, right? It's going to Atlanta, Utah,
You're this
Phoenix.
close. This close.
Yeah.
To a NBA conference finals between the Utah Jazz, the Phoenix Suns, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do have sounds. Shit, I forgot.
There you go.
That's Adam Silver crying into his beers thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the biggest market would be Atlanta.
They're really going to have to market like good basketball.
Who Atlanta
nothing
is,
else.
Well, that's if you don't have what happened last night. Clippers take care of the Jazz, 118-104, and they really handled this pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
Utah outscored them in the fourth and still lost by 14. It was never really all that close.
No, and it's just Kawhi. When Kawhi wants to play, and that's what bothers me so much about him, is that when Kawhi wants to take over games, he can take over games. And it's just the problem with him is he doesn't have it. He doesn't want to do it all the time.
You misread this game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This was not about Kawhi. Kawhi got all of the pub because he just absolutely dunk-mouthed Derek Favors. It was Paul George.
Yeah.
Paul George can play at home. He can't play on the road. He is the Amari Cooper of the NBA.
I mean,
when we get around to fantasy football, I have stats on Amari Cooper that would blow your mind.
Paul George had to put up or shut up. I mean, everyone has been dogging him for the playoff P thing, the way he's just disappeared in the playoffs after saying that his name was playoff P. I was saying on Twitter the other day, he's like the worst kind of tweener to me. Like, if he's not the number one option with the ball in his hand, he doesn't have enough confidence to do the other parts of the game well enough. Like, he can defend, he can do other things, but if he doesn't have the ball in his hands and he's just watching Kawhi go to work, he doesn't have the confidence. That's why they kind of made the adjustment of putting him at point guard, because Kawhi's going to get his regardless. Like, he's going to defend. He's going to get his tough shots when he needs to, especially when Paul goes to the bench. But they've got to get, if they want to do anything in this playoffs, they've got to get Paul George with some confidence. And that's what they did last night. Now, if he can do it on the road in Utah, it's a different story. But
he can't.
They're doing what they needed to do.
When people try to tell you who they are, you should probably listen. And Paul George has made it very clear. At home, good. On the road, not so good.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, to me, I just look at the series and go, it's ridden the home line. I think it's going to continue to do that. It didn't change anything drastic for me.
No.
I mean, Mike Conley's still out. He was still out last night.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not sure he plays for the rest of the series. That's the biggest problem in the NBA right now, is that not every major player, but probably 70% of your stars are in some way hurt.
Yeah, and that
Embiid, Harden, Kyrie Irving, Mike Conley, on and on and on. And this is what I tried to say last year. If you watch this show for a full year, you know that I beleaguered this point as hard as I could about the short off season and moving the schedule and all that shit. You're going to regret it, and now you're seeing why.
Yeah, and like we said before the show when we were talking, you can have a deep team. You can have a team with if you have 3 All-Stars on the Nets, you think no matter what happens, I'm going to have 2 All-Stars on the court. Even if somebody goes down, I still always have 1 All-Star on the court. But injuries happen, and that's what hate LaFlop James as much as you want to. Mm-hmm. But he made it to the finals 8 straight years, and that's hard to do. That's hard to avoid injuries for 8 straight years to even make it to the finals. You can have the best team that you want to have. You can play team ball. You can do all those things. You get the wrong injuries, and you're done for. So a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is keeping away from those big injuries.
And injuries have become the story of the playoffs.
Yeah, they sure
Now
have.
You've got a Nets team that will be missing Kyrie Irving tonight, will be missing James Harden tonight. And I'm going to be honest with you. They lose tonight, the series is over.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to win in Milwaukee with a hurt Kyrie, a hurt James. Let's say all 3 of them play.
Yeah.
They'll be 70% at best, and you're not beating this team in their place without these guys being at full.
Now, this is the chance for Kevin Durant to kind of silence a lot of these doubters and stuff like that, though. I feel like if you want to be considered the best in the league, if you want to do this like you are, then you go out there and you win this series single-handedly, basically. Let's be clear here. Single-handedly. Let's just say Kyrie and James Harden are out for the rest of the playoffs, and Kevin Durant somehow gets this team to the finals and wins the finals, do you not see him in a whole different light than you would prior to this as far as where he ranks all time? I mean, I would put him, if he just decides to single-handed. Now, you know, it's also beating a Utah or a Phoenix. It's not like he's beating someone great, but being able to single-handedly when you have two other stars and he gets that, I think I would see him a little bit differently.
You know how I feel going into this game?
Yeah.
Good. Let the hate flow through you.
There are very few players in any sport that I cannot stand more than Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I know.
And now you've got Kyrie, who I caught some shit yesterday about what I said about Kyrie. And so I'm going to put it out there here where I can be a little bit more open and honest. Kyrie Irving is the most selfish player in the NBA. 100%. I don't think that's even debatable.
Yeah.
This is a guy that sat out for a multitude of games because he didn't like things in the world. Which, more power to you. You can do what you want to. But you're looking at your teammates going, my feelings matter more than the team.
Yeah.
So why am I not surprised that he's already ruled out? I don't know how serious his injury is. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on television. I don't claim to be one. I said yesterday, I promise you he won't play. And I promise you he won't play in Game 6. Because you would have to put the team first. Kyrie Irving has proven time and time again that he doesn't care.
No. I could very easily see, like you said, if Milwaukee wins tonight, you think the series is over. I can see Kyrie and Harden trying to come in Game 6 with their capes on, saying, "I'm going to win in Milwaukee, take it back to Brooklyn for a Game 7." But the thing, like when you're missing Kyrie, you're not just missing one of the best. Say what you want about him, all those things that Jeremy have said. But on the court, he's one of the best finishers that we have in the game. He's a great shot creator and he's a great transition player. But you're not just missing that when he's gone. You had the reason in the first two games they won so big is because the role players like Bruce Brown, like Blake Griffin, were in one-on-ones. They could get the defense on its heels because you can't help off of Kyrie or KD. They're either going to hit the open shot or they're going to drive past you when you try to close out, and that leaves everyone else a more open floor to be able to do what they do.
Did you just say Kyrie Irving was one of the best finishers in the NBA?
If we're going to start that debate.
That
boy ain't right.
It's going to be a long day.
Oh, wait.
That boy ain't right.
Maybe the most overrated player in the NBA.
Well, have you ever watched him finish around the rim?
100%.
The English that he puts on the ball
100%.
on the backboard, he's one of the best of all time.
He gets to the rim and he does well.
He's one of the best finishers we've ever seen. See, but that's
and then he goes down on the defensive end and immediately gives it right back.
We're not talking about that.
That's not what I said. All I said was you're missing the finishing and shot creating. We were going to have a peaceful day. We made it about 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Where did Kyrie go to school?
He played 13 games there. I don't really consider it.
Ask anyone that knows NBA if Kyrie is a great finisher, and they will say yes.
You can say a lot about him.
You can say a lot about him.
You can say a lot about him, but you can't say that he's not a good finisher.
He's a great finisher.
I can say he does it when he wants to.
Yeah.
Because he's a selfish me first guy.
If he's on the court, he wants to.
Okay.
So every minute he's on the court, he's finishing.
Now who doesn't watch? I could literally go through 2 seasons in Boston where I think he cared for about 9 minutes collectively.
Well, he carried that team when he played. He just didn't play that much.
Stop that. He did not carry that team. That's a fucking myth, and it has been for years.
He averaged like 20.
Why do you think? Who cares what? Don't give me stats. If you're going to give me stats, just give the MVP to Russell Westbrook. I don't care about your stats. He's the emptiest player in the NBA. Straight up, he's the emptiest player. He's the emptiest stat line in the NBA.
He drives me absolutely bonkers.
And that's why he beat one of the greatest teams of all time, just him and LeBron. And he dropped like 50 points.
Hold on. That's like saying I had a trikey with Eva Longoria and Brad Pitt was the other guy. I don't think I had a whole hell of a lot to do with that.
He dropped 50 points in Game 7. How do you not have a lot to do with it?
Yeah, he also gave up 38 on the other end.
He hit.
It's still
everyone gives up. What?
I just said that's still plus 12.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he didn't have to guard Curry and Thompson at the same time.
I get it.
They did have multiple guys that could score.
When Kyrie Irving wants to play, and that's the problem. And that's the problem. You can't deny the talent. And it's just the same way with I feel about Kawhi. When he wants to play, he plays. And that's what you have with a lot of these superstars that's going on. The superstars is that they take so many days off and then they play when they want to. And it's just, I guess me growing up, when you see these guys that played it day in and day out and day in and day out and hard and stuff like that, when you get to this time of day and this time of what's going on with these players, it's just so hard to watch. It's hard to get involved with them. And we talked about this when we talked about how people don't go to the games anymore because they don't know who's going to play. This all has encompassing. And then you have the players now getting hurt and these kind of things. And it's just so unbelievably frustrating to watch. And these guys are just, I don't know. I don't know. When they say they're really hurt these days, I just don't believe it. I believe they care more about their future product than they care about right now. And that would never be how it used to be. It doesn't matter. There's people played with injuries to go win a title. These guys are more concerned about, but if I go in there and play, I'm going to hurt myself more, and then I'm not playing next year, and then what am I going to do with that?
What did KD do when he sacrificed? He tore his Achilles and could have ruined his career.
And I know that, and that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you. Yeah. And it does suck that people are, not as willing to give to the team and sacrifice, but also I know, that's just where the players are at now. They're saying, these teams don't care about us. If we get hurt, they can cut us, trade us, do whatever. Mm-hmm. So why am I going to go injure myself like KD did, sit out for a year? But it's for winning a championship, so I don't blame KD at all. Yeah. I just know that's where the players are at, and it's not right. It does hurt the game, but I think there's so much riding on this Nets team and these three guys teaming up, all the hate they got. I think they do want to win, so I think they would be on the court if they could.
Oh, I don't doubt they want to win. Yeah. That's not what I'm saying.
But I also think Game 6 will probably come back with a cake on.
You said so much riding on it. Whose legacy changes based on anything that happens right now?
Well, Harden would get his first ring.
Harden's the one I would accept.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you a question. Since you were a Kyrie defender there, Dookie.
I think everyone is, but okay, go ahead.
They're certainly not.
As far as finishing, no one likes him off the court. But
I want you to tell me who I say right here that Kyrie Irving is actually better than. This is just current NBA point guards. Steph Curry.
No.
James Harden.
He's a point guard?
I've never really considered Harden a point guard. So
he brings the ball up more than anybody on that team.
Well, so does LeBron. Do you consider him a point guard?
Some people do. I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
He's the point forward type. But I mean, if you get into just guys that handle the ball coming on the floor, it gets even bleaker. Luka Doncic.
No, I think
Damian Lillard. Chris Paul. I'm not even close to done. Ben Simmons.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I disagree with you.
He could be in the game. Kyrie Irving could be in the game in the last 10 seconds of the game.
Okay, Ben Simmons is an elite defender. Elite, first-team all-defense, shut-down your guy defender.
Yeah.
And he can get to the rim. The problem is, and what you just said is a little, I'm not going to say it's a little misleading. Because here's the problem. Ben Simmons can't shoot free throws. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons, if they're down 2, Ben's in the game.
And that's a pretty big thing to have when you can't have a guy on the court. Period.
Do you say that about Shaq? Do you say it about Giannis? Because Giannis is a god-awful shooter, too.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I can't consider Ben Simmons a better point guard than Kyrie Irving when he's on the floor because
he's a better all-around player.
Okay, I could do that.
And that's really what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about offensively. Trae Young. I'll be honest with you. Look, I'd rather have Trae Young. It's not all that close.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that you say when you're talking about great players, one of your criteria is winning titles. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of guys on that list have, being a 1-2 punch with someone, won a championship against a great Warriors team that looked unbeatable because they were averaging 40-plus points a game.
With LeBron.
But
greatest player to ever live. So
he still is a point guard that won a championship against a great team, and a lot of the load was on his shoulders. He was either creating. Every time LeBron went to the bench to rest, he was the main offense. He was creating. He was scoring 40-something points a game. Mm-hmm. Like he was closing the games out at the end of the game. Look, I'm not a Kyrie apologist. I know everything that off the court that everyone says. I know people hate him for that. You cannot say he is not a good basketball player and a great finisher, because he is. If you objectively know basketball, no one that objectively knows basketball would say Kyrie's not a great finisher.
Did you just say you're not a Kyrie apologist?
I'm
going to disagree.
Saying that he's good on the court is not.
I'm not. Again, you're going over the top. I'm not saying he's not good. What I'm saying is he's overrated as hell. He's the most overrated player in the NBA, and I don't think it's all that close. Straight up. What did he do as the guy in Boston? What did he do as the guy in Cleveland?
Won a championship.
Not as the guy with LeBron.
A 1A, 1B.
He was the guy. They didn't make the fucking playoffs. They were god awful.
Yeah,
he's
of course,
been the guy. We've seen that.
LeBron.
It's bad. It's bad. He's been a realistic NBA championship contender with Kevin Durant, James Harden, LeBron James.
The problem is...
I look at a guy like Dame Lillard who's playing by himself and go, yeah, I'd rather have that. And it's not all that close.
The thing is with Kyrie is that everything else overshadows what he can do on the floor. Mm-hmm. If he were to play all the time, if he were to play hard, if he were to do these things, it would be a different story because he does have the talent. The problem is his head, and he cares more about himself. And like I was saying before, these guys care about their own brand more than they care about a team. Plain and simple. There's no other way to look at the NBA anymore, that these individuals are now more concerned about their own brand than they are about winning championships sometimes. I mean, these guys it's crazy. And I don't know, it's just gonna be, it's sad to watch a product that I love so much just turn into this, it's just so terrible to watch this NBA.
So I need to comment. Kelvin Joyner said we can't knock guys for playing with great players. I don't disagree with you. I'm not knocking him for playing with great players. Mm-hmm. I'm knocking him for what he did by himself. He's an empty stat line guy. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question, because the one he asked me was, do we downplay Scotty for playing with Michael? No, because Scotty can play right now. Could Kyrie Irving have played in the NBA 20 years ago?
What? Yes.
Yes, he could.
No,
100%.
He couldn't have.
Oh my
he
God.
would have been
100%.
abused.
What?
No,
they could not.
Who could he guard?
It doesn't.
Who could he guard?
It doesn't matter. He can score.
That 100% mattered 20 years ago. 20 years ago, he would have been a really good shooting B.J. Armstrong.
That's just blasphemous.
It's not. Bad defense. All right, name.
I mean, you can have your opinion on it, but your opinion is wrong.
One bad defender.
Your opinion is wrong.
They would guard
100%.
him and not
Name
know
me
what
an
to
elite
do.
player in the late 90s that was that bad of a defender. He's the worst defender in the NBA and has been for 10 years. Name me.
Nobody has to play defense. It's changed because you can't hand check. You can't do this. You can't do that.
But he still gets steals.
If he would have had to change the way he plays, he could do that.
He cannot play defense.
He's not nothing on defense.
To say that Kyrie Irving is in any sort of way compared to fucking B.J. Armstrong is absolutely blasphemous, and you
then answer my question.
You need to stop talking.
Then answer my question.
Period.
Then answer my question. Name me the player that played in the 90s that was this bad defensively. He's been bottom 5 in defensive metrics in every position.
No one just
not at point guard. Every position.
Because defense is the only thing that's played.
Okay, so what you're saying is he's the worst in a bad defensive generation.
And this is how it goes. You get something in your head and you
It's not something about
you change
you
the narrative to change
I made a shit ton of money betting NBA basketball, and you know how I usually pick point guards?
And this started as just saying that Kyrie Irving was just a good finisher, and he wants to go and start playing all this stuff. But to
ask you a question that you keep not answering.
Okay.
Answer the damn question. You keep saying, I need to stop talking. I'm never going to stop talking on my own fucking show. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So answer the question that I asked you. Name me a all-star level player that played back in the Pippen era, which is the question I was asked. Mm-hmm. Comment was Scottie Pippen. Why do I not ding him and I ding Kyrie Irving? Name me the player that was a god-awful defender in the 90s. You say Kyrie could be a good defender. You've never seen him do it, so it's a hypothetical. Mm-hmm. And literally, technique is
you just compared fucking Kyrie Irving to B.J. Armstrong. I don't need to say anymore.
And that was a hyperbole.
Well,
I mean, I said he would be a really high-end B.J. Armstrong that couldn't play. He couldn't play because he couldn't defend. That was the point.
Okay.
But again, I've asked this question 4 fucking times. You refuse to answer it because you couldn't play in the NBA back then that way.
I don't know.
Reggie Miller, the reason that he's not looked at as an elite player because he couldn't defend.
I don't know.
He was the best player. He was a great. All right, does that make you feel better? He would be Reggie Miller. Is that better than B.J. Armstrong?
He would still be an all-star and he would play.
Oh, I don't think he'd be an all-star.
They wouldn't know what to do with his hand.
Go back to the late 90s and think about who he would have been better than.
They wouldn't know what to do with his ball handling and finishing. No one had the ball skills that he does right now back then.
John Stockton.
Tim Hardaway.
Gary Payton.
Tim Hardaway could not guard anybody. He was an all-star.
twice.
Yeah.
I think Tim Hardaway was an all-star. Actually, you know what? I'll give you that. That's probably the best comparison any of us have made. That's exactly who he would be.
And he's a Hall of Famer.
He'd be Tim Hardaway. He's a Hall of Famer in fucking basketball. Jesus Christ. And Manute Bol is a Hall of Famer.
You just but I'm sorry, you just lost me when you. Now it's different. See,
I'm not changing anything. You came up with a better name than I did. I came up with one off the top of my head that you fixated on. You're right. Yours was better. Tim Hardaway. That's
what I'm saying. I can agree with what you're saying there, but when you say B.J. Armstrong, I got to come at you for that, right? That's a fair conversion.
I said a really high end. That's the kind of basketball he plays. The reason B.J. Armstrong got bounced from the Bulls because he couldn't defend anybody.
Yeah,
they would rather play Ron Harper. Yeah, and that's what the league
Ron
was.
Harper
back
could
then.
ball. He could.
Ron Harper was fine. He was nowhere near the offensive player that B.J. Armstrong.
No, not at all.
He was a better all-around player. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
that's what you're. I think that's what I'm either not conveying it well or I don't know. What I'm saying is that Kyrie Irving is a stat accumulator, which in this NBA works. There are a lot of people that do not watch this league because of that. Yeah. Straight up.
Yeah.
I will say I think Kyrie Irving's a better player than Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
I don't think is all that close.
Kyrie Irving's better. I'm sorry.
I think he's a better player than Russell Westbrook. Yeah. Because he can at least get somebody involved. Russell Westbrook is the triple-double king of the world, and every one of his assists is empty as hell.
Yeah.
It's just because people collapse on him, and he goes, oh, I have two dudes on me? Oh, look, that guy's open.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fun fact, I think I was either 3 or 4 years old when B.J. Armstrong played on the Bulls. So, yeah, about that. But just one last thing on the Nets game before we get to Suns and Foe. Suns and Foe. In 5 games without Kyrie and Harden this season, KD averaged 34 a game and shot 63% from the floor. Obviously, that wasn't against the Bucks in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see how tonight goes. Yeah. I mean, when he knows he's going to be the man, it's going to be, they're going to be doubling him. They're going to have the whole defense paid attention to him. It's going to be up to these role players if they can knock down shots, and that takes away some of what they do when they can focus their energy on defense. When they're going to know, like, I have to make shots to win this game. So we'll see what happens.
What he said, the biggest part of this, and you just remember that I said this, the biggest part of this with no Kyrie and James Harden. Who does Drew Holiday have to guard? Nobody.
Yeah.
Joe Harris.
It's Mike James. Yeah. So Drew Holiday, who's an elite level defender, has been fixating a lot of his time and effort into defensively dealing with Kyrie. Now you're dealing with Mike James. What does that do? Fresher legs on the offensive end, and he is a good offensive player. I don't see a shot that the Nets win this game. I really don't. If they do, I'll come in here tomorrow and say I was 100% wrong. God bless Kevin Durant because he probably had 50.
Yeah.
He probably had 50 and was somehow legitimate defense on Giannis. Because that's the only way I see him winning this game.
Jeremy said he was going to hit over his monkey knife fight total in the first half.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of monkey knife fight,
we should probably just go ahead and do that. Since you just said that, we should probably just go ahead and do that. Go to monkeyknifefight.com. Use our promo code TANK. They will match your initial deposit up to $50 and give you a free $5 ticket that you can use in my play of the night between the Nets and the Bucks. I will go over 34.5 points for Kevin Durant. I will go over 32.5 points for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I just look at this game as Kevin Durant is going. His usage rate tonight's going to be 40+.
It's going to be bonkers.
I mean, it will be stupid. I think the highest one I've seen in the last 2 years was 42% for one game. I actually think Kevin Durant will be higher than that tonight.
Yeah.
When Kyrie got hurt, he played every minute the rest of the game until the starters got pulled. So it's going to be interesting where the offense comes from when he has to sit tonight. I don't know what they're going to do.
And you just mark my words. He's not going to be able to guard Giannis.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen because what will happen, now knowing that they only have one star, Giannis will go right at him. If he doesn't, that will be the first words out of my mouth tomorrow. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Giannis that should be your offense. Isolate KD on Giannis. Giannis goes to basket. Worst case scenario, you get fouled. I'm not expecting you to hit the damn free throws. I just want to see fouls get rung up on Kevin Durant. Because if he gets in foul trouble, this game will be over in a hurry. MonkeyKnifeFight.com. Use the promo code TANK. They will match your initial deposit up to $50 and give you a free $5 ticket. If my play on the screen hits, they will turn your $5 free ticket into an $18 prize. That's $18 free dollars just for going to MonkeyKnifeFight.com and using our promo code TANK. T-A-N-K. All right. I've managed to piss Brian off this morning.
Oh, I'm good.
We had a B.J. Armstrong reference.
I just got mad because you said BJ.
It's hyperbole.
I know.
It's what I do.
I know. And that's fine. I get it.
What I say before the
Patrick
show,
Cole.
we know all the buttons.
100%.
Patrick Cole, want to talk about soccer, buddy? I would talk about soccer with you, but just World Cup mainly. Euro Cup I like, for sure. It was pretty scary watching that guy fall on the field. I mean, that was dangerous. I mean, pretty much he was dead on the field from all counts, and they brought him back to life. So that was pretty scary.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I saw that on Twitter right after it happened.
Yeah. So it's just, that was pretty scary. Other than that, if USA is not in the World Cup, I typically don't pay attention too much. So.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I will get super behind USA World Cup soccer.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. MLS games, I can't. I'll go to one. I'll go to a baseball game.
We're finally developing some talent that can play in Europe. The soccer program's getting better, but I just feel like every year we're okay, we've got a couple new guys in Europe, but this is going to be the year it all comes together. We've got the right coach now. All these things that we hear every year, and they just haven't been able to get it done. They're just going to have to find the right formula. They're going to have to keep developing players like they have been that can play in these European leagues. And nobody's going to play in MLS for their season and be able to come out and win you a World Cup when the time it comes. I mean, we're just going to have to keep up what we've been doing the past few years, where we're getting some players that are developing over in Europe and coming to play for the national team.
Oh, there's a nice fun stat right there, Alexander.
Well, let's get through this Suns Nuggets before we get to the chat.
Oh God, I mean, it had to happen. We were obviously not on air yesterday. Sorry about that, technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We came in and our nice, smart studio was very, very dumb. My Nuggets.
They're no longer 12 games away.
No, we're back to
82.
90.
Wait, what is it? No.
98.
98. Yeah.
You're 2022 NBA champion,
Nope.
Denver Nuggets.
Nope, not doing that.
No?
I did it twice. We're not doing it a third time.
Did you fall off the bandwagon?
No,
he's still like at Denver.
I'm just not doing that again. Frankly, I got tired of hearing myself say it. So, we're not doing good. It will not be the 2022 NBA champion.
I mean, let's talk about the biggest thing from that game, obviously,
Yeah.
is just the absolute shit show of ejection of the MVP. That does not happen. I don't understand. If LeBron James did that, he's not getting ejected from the game, and that's what my problem is with this, 100%. Should he got maybe a little bit of a flagrant foul? I don't even think that. That's the problem with this. It just seemed like he was swiping for the ball and he hit him, and I know the rules are going to say this and they're going to say that. If anything, he should have got a flagrant run and play on. But when you take the freaking MVP out of a game for something like that, he didn't punch him. He was actually playing the ball. It was a freaking Oscar-winning performance by Cameron Payne.
Yeah.
And it just,
So, I mean, Suzanne Lucci would have been jealous of the acting job that Cameron Payne
Oh,
did.
my God. It was just so pathetic.
I think it was 100% the situation and how it looked more than what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. It wouldn't have happened to a LeBron, and it's ridiculous that he got tossed.
Mm-hmm.
But when is Jokic's big ass missing a shot, the point guard gets the rebound, and he's going like he's Gary fucking Payton and trying to steal it 94 feet away from the basket.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. So when you see a big guy charging at a point guard that's got a rebound and going to swipe real hard and get the steal, that's not something he ever does during the course of the game.
That's
so
actually
it looks
not correct.
weird to the referee. So it shouldn't have been an ejection, but he just missed a shot. They're down 8.
He was
They're
frustrated.
They're down
It was
3-0.
a frustration foul, for sure.
right.
But what you just said is not true.
That he guards 94 feet away from the
No,
rim.
he's notorious for the sticking the hand out thing and tipping.
Oh, I mean,
he's
but
one of
he-
the best in the league.
But
at
not
stop-
just coming down on
But
him.
that's where I was getting there.
So the point guard was like over in the corner.
No,
he ran from
I watched it 1,000
Yeah,
times.
he ran from the free throw line over to the point guard. It's not like he had a shot of getting in the way of the pass like he does
I'm sure Cameron
and just
did.
being big. He just took his big ass over to the corner and tried to get a steal, which he doesn't normally do in the course of a game. When you're an MVP carrying a load that he does, when you miss a shot or something, you get back on defense when you're a big guy. And the fact that he ran at the point guard, tried to make a hard swipe, he got
It's the optics.
it shouldn't have. Yeah, it was just the optics. That's what made the ref like go off in his head, like, wait, something looks different here. He's doing something out of frustration because he just missed a shot. I'm sure he said something because he thought he was fouled. So all that played into it. But an ejection's ridiculous. They should have looked it over and thought about it.
But they did. That's the part that's terrifying.
Yeah, they looked everything over.
They went to the video.
They should have reversed it
and still did it.
Yeah.
That's the part that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I saw it. I could have gotten down with a flagrant one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have agreed with it.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was as common foul as they come. Only reared back. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
He got 90% ball. One arm hair hit him in the nose, and he might have gotten a little hand.
Yeah.
That's not a flagrant too. And I'm going to be honest with you, Stephen A. Smith, and I can't believe I'm about to agree with Stephen A. Smith. Said, yeah, you know what you just did? You took the last quarter and a third of an elimination game and made it unwatchable.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you did. And I guarantee you when the ratings come out, you're going to see a big-ass nosedive when Jokic went away. I'm going to level. I don't think it would have mattered anyway. They were losing that game regardless. The Suns had just gone on a run. They'd pushed it, I think they were up 5. The Nuggets had the lead not long before that.
Yeah.
That was the run. It's a frustration thing. Anytime NBA officials become the narrative, I have a problem with that. When we're talking about the officials the day after and 2 days after a playoff game, that's a problem.
He's the MVP, man. You can't do it to the MVP.
Yeah.
See, I'll be honest with you. The metrics of the MVP are bad. I don't think you can do that to any player that's even pseudo-relevant.
Yeah.
You can't be the Charmin baby shit soft league and expect people to watch it. And I guess that's kind of where I was headed with, as we were going down the Kyrie Irving rabbit hole. He's the definition of the NBA now. All anybody wants to talk about is he's a great scorer. He's a fucking terrible all-around player. Teams literally game plan to go at him. And people like me, and I'm not saying that I'm the most common fan. I'm a guy that coached the game. I really respect the game. And I'm not going to say I play the most entertaining brand of basketball. I play 94 feet all the time. It's full court trap, 48 minutes of hell.
He's an old school. Press Virginia, baby.
Hell yeah. I am an old school Nolan Richardson kind of coach.
Yeah.
You may not be super talented, but by God, you're going to be super agile if you're going to play for me.
You run suicides with the team?
Me personally, no. Because me running one suicide would be the same as a suicide.
Jeremy's a say
because it would be the end of my camel menthol smoking ass.
Yeah.
Jeremy's a do as I say coach, not a do as I do.
100%. And anytime somebody ever asks me that, I'm like, I paid my dues a long time.
Yeah.
And I got it. There's plenty more credits than there are debits.
Yeah, there you go.
Touch the line.
And the best part about the series that's coming out, and the thing is, the only thing you're going to hear about this series is 1, the ejection of Joker, and then 2, the guy beating the shit out of the other guy in the stands. Other than that, nobody cares about the series at all. That's the problem.
That's the bad thing.
Yeah, that's
the
the
NBA is
problem.
having to manufacture. And this is the bad thing for the NBA is you're the only thing out there. We don't have anything else to talk about. It is the NBA. We did an ESPN show yesterday that was 90% NBA.
Yeah.
We understand that not everybody loves the NBA. We get that. What would you like us to talk about? And that actually was a question. Seriously.
What would you like us to talk about?
Throw them in the comments.
Yeah.
If you got a football question, I'll answer the shit out of it.
Here we go.
Off the top of my head.
I'll start. Alex Center talked about how the guy that we should not mention in the show, dropping passes, has had all kinds of problems all throughout training camp. And I just want to look you square in the camera here and say, listen, Kadarius Toney is going to be a shit show, and we should have never drafted him with that pick in the first round.
You could have had. You could have had Elijah Moore, who has been the star of Jets OTAs.
I will say that, but the Jets did restructure Jamison Crowder's contract, so he's going to be playing a little bit behind Jamison Crowder.
They're going to be playing at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, there's just everything out of Jets camp is that Elijah Moore is the absolute truth.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really glad you brought up the Jamison Crowder thing. Because there was a part of that narrative yesterday that really pissed me off. And now, granted, I'm very connected to Jets Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm friends with a bunch of Jet beat writers on Facebook. I know these guys personally, and it wasn't coming from them. This was a lot of the narrative from the people like us.
Yeah.
That the Jets had all of the leverage with Jamison Crowder. He was the 16th highest paid receiver in the league. No, they didn't. Jamison Crowder's a good damn receiver.
Yeah, he is.
And he took a pay cut to stay on a team he knows he's not going to be on in a year. And I respect the hell out of that.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I know he's not long for the Jets, but I would be remiss if I didn't say, hell yeah, Jamison Crowder.
I think he might be getting in there, and he might see, maybe, again, I'm looking at you're saying that, and that's the thing about this Jets team is that there's so many people that are saying how bad they're going to be, and I just can't see it. I look across this roster, and I look at the coaching staff, and the only thing that I could possibly see them not having a much improved year, I'm not talking, I don't think the Jets are going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to they're not going to win 2 games again. I can see them
there's a lot of Bengals fans that have wanted to bet me.
Yeah.
I bet the Bengals win more games than the Jets do.
Yeah.
A, anything I say about the Bengals has not one damn thing to do with the Jets.
Yeah.
B, deal. Where's the bell?
Yeah.
Ring my bell.
It's right there.
There you go.
Yeah, see, I just think the only way that, if it's just that Zach Wilson's progression is not as good as it needs to be, that's the only way that I can see this going wrong. But what I can see is maybe Crowder's already looking at this team. Maybe he's seen Zach Wilson already and said, whoa, this dude can ball. Because it doesn't, other than thinking this is a winning team, does it really make much sense for him to do what he did? I mean, like, do you know what I'm saying? Does that part of it look like...
Do I think any other team would have paid him $10 million? No.
Okay.
Do I think if he had gone to the Jets and said, you know, you've got Corey Davis, you've got Elijah Moore, you've got Denzel Mims, you've got Keelan Cole. Mm-hmm. At best, I'm the 3. At worst, I'm the 5. Mm-hmm. If he had said to them, I really would like you to trade me somewhere, we can work on something, renegotiate part of the deal so that my contract's more amiable, could he have done that? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And there would have been teams lined up at $6 million, which is what I've heard this deal's going to end up being for. There have been teams lined up. As well, they should have been.
And I think people I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish.
You're good, go ahead.
I think people underestimate, like, how much a culture change is key in, like, NFL locker rooms. Like, the Jets, it's not like they haven't had talent. They've had pieces on that team. They've just had incompetence at the head coaching spot and other spots in the organization. I think Rob Salah is huge getting in there. I just don't know what the timetable is for how soon he can turn it around. Like, with the Panthers, I love Matt Rule, but you get one injury with McCaffrey last year, you lose 8 games by like 6 points or less or whatever it was. But I like the direction that the organization is going in, and I have confidence in him. And I feel the same about Rob Salah. I obviously like Zach Wilson. They've got weapons there. They've had talent there at different places. I love Mekhi Becton, and I think they can build a great line down there and, you know, rest on their defense and their line, which is what Rob Salah wants to do. But I just don't know the timetable. I don't know how soon they get to the 7-8 win like area. I do think they'll be obviously better than the 2 wins or whatever they had last year. I just don't know if they're really contending in games with top teams this year and just losing by, 7 points, or if it's going to be another year before the teams are really scared to see them on the schedule.
I could easily see them being I know this is kind of a wide range, but this team could be anywhere from, I think, 5 wins to 9 wins. And I don't think that it's unheard of to say something like that. I mean, and that's what is kind of driving me nuts about this narrative, that they're one of the worst 5 teams. And G-Baby in the comments said, our 5 worst teams.
I'm going to get to that.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you for saying that. I got totally... Yeah. I steered into this kid to get to that comment because I saw it earlier, and then I forgot it.
Yeah.
I may not... I'm not... I will say this. This is a direct quote from a text message I got from a Jets beat writer in the last week. Zach Wilson, in what we've seen of him, at worst has been average. Mm-hmm. His best has been the best rookie quarterback I've ever seen.
Holy crap.
So just, the Jets, we've had a lot of rookie quarterbacks and a lot of them haven't been good. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of reason to be happy with my Jets. I want to get to the Le'Veon Bell thing. Kelvin Joyner said that in comments.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell said he would retire before he would play for Andy Reid again. I had a tweet that got retweeted and liked and all that shit more than anything I've ever done on Twitter. I don't do a lot of Twitter. I should. Everybody follow me on Twitter. I will do more Twitter things.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell might be the most tone-deaf human I've ever seen.
Right.
You do realize he had less than 100 touches last year, right?
Yeah.
He has less than 500 touches in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
and made a boatload from my Jets to do it.
Is that quote that Andy Reid said actually true, or
I don't know.
I would love it. I would love it to be true.
I think that has to be made up.
I think it is true. The quote was basically said,
it was Andy Reid saying, based on his production and effort level, I think he's been retired for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I
don't think Andy Reid actually said that. I think it's one of those little.
He could have been a couple whiskeys deep and accidentally told a journalist or something. But
he could have been sipping on a couple of tall boys and then pounding down some burgers at a local
joint. I'm sure he's
joint.
on the beach drinking Mai Tais.
Look, Le'Veon Bell comes out and says, and then he has to backtrack because he just gets crushed.
Right.
And he says, it's about what he said to me. All right, then tell us.
Yeah.
All right, then tell us. You've had. I don't remember how this old line goes, but it's basically, if something smells everywhere you go, you should probably assume it's you.
Yeah.
That's how I'm starting to feel about Le'Veon Bell. If you smell dog shit everywhere you go, it's probably on your shoe.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell's one of those guys. I saw a couple people in the comments say, I would love for my team to add him. Let me tell you this as somebody who he played for my team for 2 years. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Don't waste the roster spot.
And it's not even that. It's that the skills have regressed. He got paid, and the effort level dissipated. He's been a little doughy pretty much every time I've seen him for the last 2 years. You just don't want to deal with it. And this is running back 101. And I'm not trying to get political with this, but you go to all of the running backs that have been run out of the league for a various number of reasons.
Uh-huh.
The ones that aren't super talented, you're not getting a second shot.
Well,
you're not.
Yeah. And my thing is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if he still had the skills that he had in Pittsburgh as a two-way player that is a great patient runner and a great receiver, kind of like a McCaffrey has been when he's been healthy. If he was still that player, you don't think he would have played more and been more okay, I understand all he's saying about Adam Gase and the Jets and whatever, but you don't think the Chiefs would have played him if he was still
exactly
the two-way player that was that productive and talented? You don't think they could have used him in their run last year, when they weren't real sure what they had in the rookie Clyde Edwards?
Right. If Andy Reid can't find a way to get you, if you're when Williams got hurt and basically Clyde Edwards-Helaire ended up being their only back, kind of.
Until the last about 7 weeks.
Yeah. I had him in fantasy and he was awful.
If Andy Reid can't find a way, if you're still a relevant person,
he's a player coach.
He would have gotten you the ball.
Yeah.
If you could still play this game, Andy Reid would have gotten you the ball. Yeah. So it just seems like the quote might not be true or not, but that's probably 100% the thing. He didn't show effort in practice. Yeah. He didn't want to play the game. He didn't want to do this. He's just saying, I'm Le'Veon Bell, I should get the ball. That's not how it works.
And Andy Reid took on Mike Vick. I mean, if you're still talented and you've been blackballed by other teams, the one coach you can kind of run to for refuge to resurrect your career and get you some snaps is Andy Reid.
Yeah.
And if he's not playing you, there's a reason. I mean, they would have used him last year.
Yeah, because it's not like that, again, that running back locker room wasn't like deep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was a lot of Darwin Thompson and other Williams.
The same with the Jets, even though he said, it was Adam Gase, it was incompetence, whatever. Adam Gase was still coaching for his job. I mean, the Jets organization still wanted wins. It's not like they wanted to be terrible. So if he was somebody that was that much of a difference maker that could run the ball and catch 8-7 passes a game, they would have been doing that. They're not just going to keep you on the sidelines for no reason when they're paying you this money and they need to win games.
I'm going to tell you a stat that will blow your damn mind.
Okay.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 300 yards in 2 games last year. It was actually I think it was 299 if I'm doing the math correctly. Do you realize that his last 100-yard game was in week 6? The last 10 games of the season, the leading rusher of the Kansas City Chiefs had 70 yards or less 9 of 10 games, and Le'Veon Bell still couldn't touch the damn ball.
Right.
That tells you everything you need to know. Because I got news for you. Learning among positions that are easiest to learn in the NFL, new schemes, all that bullshit, running back is one of the easiest to hide. Because if you're not asking him to pass protect, which, by the way, Le'Veon Bell does abnormally well, does better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, does better than probably every running back on that team not named Damian Williams. They didn't even do that. I mean, his snap counts were dumb low. Tells you everything you need to know. The Dolphins, who he has connections with coaches on that staff, haven't even sniffed him. They're going to start Myles Gaskin.
Yeah.
Not interested. Tells you everything you need to know.
Yep.
Le'Veon Bell's one of those guys that when people try to tell you who they are, you should probably listen.
Yeah.
And this is who he is. Now to G-Baby's question of bottom 5 teams in the NFL. My number one is number one with a bullet, and it's the Houston Texans.
I think we all can agree on that.
Because now after I had a bunch of people tweet at me and ask me, does the signing of Nick Mullins preclude them from trading for the Eagles for trading for
I
John
tweeted
Watson?
you that, actually.
You weren't the only one. I got that a bunch of times.
That was a joke on my part.
A lot of people weren't joking. They thought that a triad of Jalen Hurts, Joe Falco, and Nick Mullins would preclude Philadelphia from going after Deshaun Watson. No.
That was absolutely sarcastic.
Yeah. It wasn't from a lot of people because I answered a few of them.
So funny.
And a few of them really did not like my answer. I think Philadelphia's in that. They're debatably in that bottom 5. Jacksonville's in the bottom 5. Cincinnati. I'm missing one.
What do you feel about Detroit?
I think they're going to win more games than people think they are.
I was high
because I think Jared Goff is better than. I just look at Jared Goff and say he's better than a lot of these quarterbacks that are beneath him.
Yeah.
I would rather have Jared Goff than Tyrod Taylor or Jalen Hurts or there's a litany of them.
I know, like, going into a season, you never really predict, teams having only 1, 2, 3 wins. But looking at, all the teams this year, I really don't see that many teams that are going to – I think there's going to be a lot more parity than people think.
The discrepancy between good and bad has never been – it's never been more significant between 1 and 32. I think the difference between, 24 and 32 is really significant, too. All right, let me ask you a question. This is a question I know we haven't talked about on the show.
Yeah.
If there was a surprise team that you think could end up drafting in the top 5 of next year's draft, team we have not talked about, who would it be?
I know who Brian's is.
Brian's is like the Dallas Cowboys.
No. A surprise team would be the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep. I knew that's who it was.
Or, and this is going to sound crazy, I just don't see how the New Orleans Saints are going to win that many games. I just don't. I don't know what they're going to do.
Do you like them better than the Falcons, though?
I don't see.
After the Falcons got rid of Julio.
That's the thing, and that's the problem is I don't know what New Orleans is going to do at quarterback because they just start.
Quarterback's really not. It's not quarterback that I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
It is and it's not. Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard.
Right.
What the fuck do you think he's going to do with Traquan Smith?
Right.
As his 2.
Marquez Quay.
I just feel like whoever it is, they're going to be behind because I don't think the defense is that great. I think it's still good. It's just not deep. The Saints are the team that could go through an injury run and go from being an average 7, 8, 9 win team to being a 4-win team.
I think we'll know in the first couple of weeks. I want to see what Jameis Winston, how he's changed his game in a year under Breeze and Peyton.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about starting, not having to worry about carrying his team, not having to worry about just throwing the ball up to all these talented people.
Maybe gotten more humble a little bit,
Yeah, and he's still going to be Jameis. He's still going to be that competitive guy, but did they fit? Because the year that he had the most interceptions, he also had the most touchdowns. So if Sean Payton can kind of mold him to cut out some of those interceptions, I think they can be all right. They still have Alvin Kamara. They've still got Mike Thomas. And their defense has got pieces. So they've got a very wide range to me.
There's another team that I thought it was, and I thought this was going to be spicy. And then somebody said it in the comments. It was Stephen Towle. New England Patriots.
I saw that.
Uh-huh.
Did you see how bad Cam Newton was yesterday?
Well, that's they're pretty much saying Mac Jones is week 1 starter.
But who is? You're going to take
everybody else except for everybody in New England.
But everybody in the organization is saying it's Cam.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Look, I understand Bill's never started a rookie. He's never had a startable rookie. Josh McDaniels, on and on and on. It's really weird to me that they keep trying to make me believe that Cam Newton's going to be the starter. Here's the reason that this makes no sense to me, and I'm going to elaborate on this because I haven't done this before. All right, there are 4 quarterbacks on this team. Jared Stidham is a sit-in-the-pocket, accurate short-range quarterback. Brian Hoyer is a sit-in-the-pocket, accurate short-range quarterback. Mac Jones is a sit-in-the-pocket, accurate short-range quarterback.
That's what we said after the draft. Yeah.
And then Cam Newton is the outlier. So if you start the season with Cam Newton and something happens, you have to completely change the offense.
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. I'll be honest with you, and I know Patriots fans won't like this, but it's the truth. It makes way more sense for you to start Brian Hoyer than it does for you to start Cam Newton.
I agree.
And that's not a Cam Newton hate. It's not anything like that. If you have Lamar Jackson as your starting quarterback, you probably don't want Coy Detmer as the backup because that doesn't make a whole lot of damn sense.
Yeah.
It's the problem I've always had with Joe Flacco backing up Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. They're two completely different quarterbacks. Completely different. And if something happens, Joe Flacco cannot run the RPO.
Right. Yeah.
Cam Newton is going to have to run the RPO. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones is not going to do that. I'm not saying he can't. He's about as athletic as a wet fart, but I'm not saying he couldn't do that because he's a very smart guy. It's just not going to be a staple of the offense. And that's the part of this that doesn't make any sense to me. This is a whole team that is built for the sit in the pocket, just be accurate, don't beat us quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
And you keep trying to tell me that you're going to start this quarterback that is the antithesis of that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
And with Cam Newton's skill set at this point in his career, it's not like he's a good thrower of the football that just can also run, that you can put the same offense in and then just, okay, if Cam has to play, we'll put in this package where he can run his RPOs. It's not like that with Cam anymore. You have to design the offense to get the defense off balance knowing that he's going to be running. So you have to cater everything to that. You can't just throw in a package where he runs RPOs if he gets in the game because of an injury or if he starts the season and the rest of the offense is the same for all the other quarterbacks. It's a completely different offense at this point. It's not just a quarterback that can throw the same as these other guys that can also run. It's a completely different system.
Go ahead.
Oh, just real quick. Why they're saying these kind of things, we were talking about that narrative, why they keep saying. I think what it is that Cam is a former MVP. Cam is this guy. Cam is a great teammate. Everybody says all the great things about him. Anybody can say about what he is. He does great things in the community. No one can disagree with that. All these kind of things. I think what they're doing is just setting up to say, hey, you've been this great teammate. You've been this great guy. You're a former MVP. We're going in a different direction, and that's why we're going to cut you. We're not, our direction is, and I think that's maybe why they're pushing this narrative right now, because I think what it's going to come down to is that at the end of the day, they're going to say, we're going in a different direction than what you can bring to us, and they're going to be able to say all these nice things about him as they send him out into the world.
I have a theory, and it's very close to what you just said.
Yeah.
Here's what I think happened. I think Bill was not sold enough on any of these quarterbacks to trade up. Mm-hmm. I think Bill sat at 15, and he was number 15 sold on Mac Jones because I can build an offense around him. That's something that I will give Bill Belichick credit. I've always said he's an overrated coach because he had the greatest quarterback of all time. It's weird how the 5 greatest head coaches that ever lived had Tom Brady, Dan Marino, Roger Staubach. It's weird. Nobody ever did that with Vince Young.
Right.
Or Jay Cutler. That's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
One thing Bill does really well is he plays to the strengths of the players that he has. Think about what's on this team right now. All right, you don't really have a deep threat. N'Keal Harry may very well not make this team. I've been told that by 2 separate people, and it still just blows my mind every time it comes out of my mouth. So you have a lot of Kendrick Bourne, a lot of Nelson Aguilar, a lot of Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Damian Harris, who, by the way, if you're drafting fantasy football teams, right now, Damian Harris is a guy you should have every freaking where because he's going way later than he should be because he's the number 1 in New England, and it's not even debatable.
Did you see the Nelson Aguilar meme where he was jumping really high, catching that pass, and they were like, he's practicing catching slants from Cam Newton?
Well, a video came out of Cam Newton, and this is kind of where I was headed with what I think is happening.
Yeah.
A video came out of Cam Newton, and they were comparing Cam Newton to Mac Jones. Mac Jones is putting touch on balls, and it's the same drill. They're throwing the exact same pass. And Cam is 10 feet away from, on a 10-yard route.
Yeah.
He's 10 feet over the guy's head. Why is that coming out? Why are you seeing this? Why is every narrative? Literally, I have it searched right here on Cam Newton. Just the Boston, let's see, it's the Boston, I think it's the Boston Globe. Or no, it's Boston.com. Takeaways from Patriots minicamp. Cam Newton returns, Mac Jones steals the show. Touchdown Alabama, Mac Jones shines in the rain over Cam Newton at Patriots practice.
Right.
It's every narrative. Why? Because that's what they want you to know.
Yeah.
They want you to know that the rookie is further along than they thought he would be. Mm-hmm. Now, are there going to be some growing pains with Mac Jones? Absolutely. But as soon as they signed Brian Hoyer, I told the guys on this show, there is something amiss here.
Yeah.
Because now you have 3 quarterbacks that do the exact same thing, which makes sense. Stephen Tao said it in the comments.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
The reason that the Ravens were able to beat the Steelers with RG3 in the backups, because same kind of quarterback. Not saying he's the same level, he's the same kind of quarterback. Right. So you can come in and run the same scheme. I've never understood organizations that bring in quarterbacks that do completely different things.
Right.
You know, the Taysom Hill theory of, they'll come take 8 snaps a game. Well, that's stupid. It's incredibly stupid. I've talked to a lot of people that played, whether it was in the NFL, in college. It's very disjointing when you do that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Another topic for another day.
I think that's what Cam's going to have to do is go to a team like the Ravens, because I don't think he's going to get a starting gig if he gets cut close to training camp.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to go to a team like the Ravens that run a system that he can thrive in, and then if something does happen to Lamar, he can shine. He can be a good locker room guy. I mean, people love him in the locker room, as crazy
I don't think he
as he is.
But I don't think he personally would want to do that.
Well, he certainly doesn't want to be a 2.
Right.
I don't think he can back up Lamar Jackson.
Well,
they're not the same kind of quarterback.
Not even the same, but he has to go to a system that's like that, backing up a Jalen Hurts, backing up someone who runs a similar
I was so going to say that
offense.
too. I mean, 100%. I mean, I think the minute you started talking that, I think all 3 of our brains went to the only place that kind of makes sense would be with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. That still makes sense.
And they just, again, then they're just adding more and more veteran quarterback. But I personally don't. I think that if Cam. I don't know if Cam would want to be a backup anywhere.
He doesn't want to.
I don't think he will.
I think he's made enough money. Plus, he's got this show going on now, and he's got these other things going on. I think it would just be, and let's be clear here, it would be perfect time for Cam Newton just to say, you know what? I've had a career. I've done some things. I won a national championship. I won a Heisman Trophy. I went to a Super Bowl. I won an MVP. There's nothing else I'm going to be able to do. If I can't make it, if I'm getting knocked out by a rookie in New England, there's no reason for me to keep playing it. And I think that would be the best way for him to go. And if he did, I know that all kinds of stuff will be out with him about what Cam Newton was, but for a little bit there, Cam Newton was a great player for what he was doing.
He's Tony Romo with an MVP.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Cam Newton is.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And people will gristle at that, and then you'll think about it.
No, I agree with that 100%.
He's Tony Romo with an MVP.
Yeah. He was doing things that we hadn't seen before. He did change a lot of what we see, and so there's a lot of good to say about Cam Newton. We all know the bad. He wasn't the best thrower of the football. He was either overthrowing guys or he was skipping balls. That's when it happened, and when he started to get those injuries, none of that could come back because what he was a pounding runner because no one could stop him.
I mean, the year of his Super Bowl run, he could get the ball to Greg Olsen. He could, he was never a guy with great touch, but he could throw well enough, and they played to his strengths enough to get them there, but he just didn't have the protection. I mean, he didn't have half a second in that Super Bowl with what Von Miller did to Mike Remmers to even think about making any type of decision down the field.
And that's people are going to point to that he gave up in the Super Bowl as well, and he did these things. There's going to be a lot of bad that comes out about Cam Newton. I'm always just, let's talk a little bit about what he did good, but we all know who he's been for the last 10 years.
As a Panthers fan, I love and appreciate Cam. Yeah. He went through a lot of shit. He played banged up, and he had some it was exciting to be a Panthers fan and watch him take off on these 40, 50-yard runs. It was exciting to watch him truck some defensive players. He was exciting to watch. Now, does it lend itself to a dynasty, to a long run where you can, make Super Bowls? No. And, you've got to be able to throw. You've got to have some touch as a quarterback. And, the way you said that, him and Lamar are completely different quarterbacks, I do get that. But the system they run with, running the ball, having a couple of design runs, getting it to the tight ends. I mean, that's when Cam thrived.
I just don't think he can do that
He's
anymore.
Not that fast. Yeah. At the end of the day, Lamar is I get to the edge faster than you.
Right.
Cam's the injuries have gotten to him, and they can't do it anymore.
At this point, he's a guy that injuries have diminished. Mm-hmm. He was never accurate. And now he's trying to be a pocket passer, and he never was that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I think when the offseason started, Bill Belichick was not sold enough on a rookie to make the trade up to get one. He didn't think he would get one at 15. That's why he re-signed Cam Newton with the intention of going into the season with Cam and Jared Stidham, and we'll figure it out next year.
Yeah.
We'll be one of the only teams that needs a quarterback. We'll figure it out next year. Then, all of a sudden,
Mac Jones falls.
Mac Jones falls right in my lap. And then he's coming in and been great.
Yeah.
Anytime the media is on the same page, you have to understand that they're talking to the same people in the organization.
Right.
So the narrative, when you hear one narrative from everybody in the organization, it should tell you that they want you to know that. And that's where New England's at. And that's why I think Cam Newton is I'll be honest with you, I don't think Cam Newton throws another pass in the NFL.
If Cam is cut and is off the team, and they do not want to start week 1, the rookie, is it Hoyer or Stidham?
I would say it's Hoyer.
It's Hoyer.
Hunter Henry's been living with Stidham. They got a close little bond.
Yeah, I
he was
think
the
we
guy
know what Stidham is.
beforehand.
But I think that Stidham showed
I'll be
that
honest
he
with
couldn't.
you, I won't be shocked if Stidham, even if Cam gets cut, I won't be shocked if Stidham doesn't make the roster.
Right. Here's Brian Hoyer's been in McDaniel's system before, and if you know that at some point you're going to the rookie, you would probably want to have somebody. I mean, Stidham showed what he can do. Brian Hoyer's at least showed in this league that he can win a game or two for your team, especially in a system that he's familiar with. So, I mean, I could see easily being a 4-game start with Brian Hoyer, then Mac Jones coming in or something similar to that. But I agree 100%. I don't think Cam Newton throws another pass in this league.
Jonathan Welch said, I think Ron Rivera needs a QB.
No, he's got plenty. 100% plenty.
God, it would be so bad if they did that.
What?
Brought in Cam Newton.
It's just a Ron Rivera.
They had a chance to do it last year and they didn't do it.
And Adam Black even said that in the comments. It tells you everything you need to know that he looked at it and went, no, I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
The guy that knew him better than anybody. Anything else you guys want to?
I think we're good, man. You want to shut it down for the day? Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining us in the comments today.
But before we get out of here.
Oh, we got to talk, yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about manscaped.com.
Oh, man.
With Father's Day right around the corner, we all started in the same first home, and it was our father's balls. And it's time for a long overdue housewarming present for your first home. Be sure to go to manscaped.com and get Dad the Father's Day gift that he's neither going to understand or know how to use, but you can have an awkward, uncomfortable conversation with him about what it actually does. Manscaped.com, use Sportsocracy as the promo code at checkout to get 20% off your entire order and free shipping worldwide. Manscaped.com, your balls will thank you. For Brian Haynes and Tommy Bradley, I'm Jeremy Greene. This has been fun.
Yeah.
We will do this again 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah.
I want to implore you, the listeners, send us the topics you want to hear us talk about tomorrow. We want to do a very football-centric show tomorrow.
Yeah.
Frankly, because I am just tired of the NBA. I'm tired. There's no tank to make me talk about the NBA or make me talk about baseball. I want to do football. I want to do fantasy football things tomorrow.
We're also very knowledgeable at water polo. If you guys have any questions, send them to
I have a cricket guy.
Greene, ESPN.
I do have a cricket
This guy's got a cricket guy from
I got a cricket guy.
That's unbelievable.
And he's really fire, too.
And by that, he means a guy that eats crickets.
Ooh.
By that, I mean a guy that tells me how to bet cricket, and he is fire.
Yeah. All right.
As always, we're brought to you from the Wicked Weed Studios, and we're brought to you, as always, by Wicked Weed Brewing. Be sure to visit them at wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. Feel free to send your questions to me, Tommy, Brian, at our Twitter handles, as you can see below us. We're going to do a fantasy football mailbag tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a fun idea. 3 of us that are really into football.
Yeah.
I want to talk about football things.
Yep.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Send your questions to us on Twitter, send them to Facebook, however you access us. We will see you at 9 a.m. live tomorrow morning from the Wicked Weed Studios, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different.